Welcome back to the show. Here to discuss sex and relationships is sexologist Dr. Limor Blockman. Hi, Limor. Good to see you.
Hi, my dear. Good to see you.
So what do we have today?
So we started talking about body image, body shape, this whole view of the male view of the female body. And I want to talk today about the female view of the female body, which is much more intriguing.
It's very interesting.
Extremely. But before we jump into it, I just want to share a little nugget with you, still about men and their view. Because I found out in the data analysis of the last few decades, between the 60s and the 2000s, I actually saw when the market was plummeting, when there were, hardship in terms of financial hardship.
Okay.
It was very interesting to find that the waistline of a centerfold of playmates became larger. They gained some inches, meaning that.
So what's the correlation there?
The correlation is very interesting because they went and examined it. Men that are hungry, for instance, in Africa, and places that hunger is really relevant, were examined and asked comparative to men that were satiated. They were eating lunch, for instance, and then they found that they like women that are plumpier, that have more, flesh on them.
Know that this is
yes, because
related.
when they're hungry, they find it much more interesting, intriguing, not to eat, but maybe just a little.
That is an interesting bit of information.
It is. But then when they took this group of men and put it in the UK, for instance, where hunger is not an issue, they all of a sudden became interested in slender women and lost this whole interest. So my conclusion before we jump into the females is, the way to a man's heart is not through his stomach. If you want to consume more, keep him hungry.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
my conclusion. Definitely.
Good to note.
Yeah. But when it comes to women, why do women criticize? That's a very interesting thing because we do it, all the time and without even noticing. Sometimes it's subconscious.
Right.
Why do women really criticize other women? So the first assumption is comparison. You want to compare yourself to someone else. You want to find fault in order to make yourself feel better. And sometimes it's not really out of aggression, but for the need for attachment, affection, other things like that. And the second point is much more imperative. And this is the double standard that is in society. Because women are taught that they need to be sexy, but not too sexualized. And if they do, if they cross this line, society is really like pushed to put them back in order and create this situation where they're not too sexy or not too something.
So what are women to do? What line are they supposed to walk? Where are they supposed to fit into these standards? It's very hard.
It's very true, and they actually went and examined it. The whole idea of sexualizing women and using problematic terms when it comes to women. And they took tweets, they took a bunch of tweets that actually men and women sent, and they examined derogatory terms that were used in these tweets. And what they found is that women used the same or even more derogatory terms than men. And these terms were rape, slut, whore, things like that, in relation to other women.
Wow.
And that is a great, great problem. And we don't really harm ourselves only in this part of the market. We actually harm ourselves in the job market as well, because when interviewers were interviewing candidates, females and males, they noticed that the males were actually not as harsh. When it came to men, they weren't harsh at all. When it came to candidates that were females, they were a little, a little
more
less
scrutinizing?
Yeah, a little less accommodating women that were overweight. But when it came to women, women were a catastrophe. They were criticizing all women that were overweight. They weren't accepting women that were overweight. And when they did, they compensated them much less. So what is there to do?
Yeah.
We need to be, the best thing to do is actually to be self-content. If you are content with yourself, it's much more likely that you are going to be much more accepting of the other person. And being aware that you're doing this is the number one thing. Beauty comes in all shapes and sizes. So
do you think society perpetuates this kind of behavior and these
I think that women
attitudes?
do it much more than men sometimes. And
does it come from a place of envy?
It comes from a place of envy and the need, as I said, the need for affection, the need for attachment. Not necessarily aggression. There are some theories that talk about the fact that it's not really aggression, but actually a childish place where you want to be held in some way. But it doesn't matter where it comes from. I think that it's something that we need to be aware that we're doing and work on it.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks so much, Limor, for this. I learned a lot, and working on yourself and being self-content, it's a great message that everyone could use.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.